Hello, and welcome to Ameliorate. This is going to be another demo of the changes made in recent months, and there will be a blog version of this video in the description below. Most of the focus in recent months has actually been on socializing, the tool, which has been going well, but I do have some changes to show off. So we can get started here. I do have a couple different tabs here. I've got the new version and the old version for a couple of these tabs. The first thing is that we reorganized the app interface here just to tidy things up a bit, so we can see a few of the differences. The first thing you can see, there's a quick views drop down here, just a little easier to find than being in a view. I also put the title of the topic at the top here, just more called out. Let's see. Yeah, I guess previously there were two headers, which kind of made this diagram slightly off center. So I moved one of those down here. Now this is where like the toolbar is on the bottom. This feels a little more balanced. You might also notice the edges here. When the indicators are on, there were boxes in the past, but now there aren't like boxes around these. I felt that kind of added a lot of kind of feeling of clutter. So yeah, just reorganize that a little bit. Next up, the homepage went through a couple of changes. You can look at this more yourself if you want, but I'll just quickly scroll through these sections. Basically, I feel like the new version kind of is a little cleaner, better explains kind of the goals of Ameliorate and what it does. So you can see some differences here. Now if we scroll down, got this next section which kind of has like multiple pictures here, lots going on. New version is much simpler. I think just kind of looks nicer. I did add a new section here for examples. So you can see a bunch of different kind of categories of things you might want to use Ameliorate for, and each one has an example diagram that you can look at in that category. Moving on, I think the rest, a lot of it's the same. I did similar change to this first section. I put it into tabs. I did reorder the tabs just based on what I thought was kind of a more important order, but this you can see there's like an overlaid picture here, and this is just a simpler picture, less cluttered, I guess. And the rest is the same. I did add next, well, there's no banner here because I closed it, but if you come to Ameliorate for the first time, there's now a banner that kind of calls out pilot testing as a thing you can do. I mainly wanted just a way to, obviously call out for feedback, while at the same time offering my potential, my guidance to help if they need it to use the tool. So this doc describes that process. I also added a breakdown process document. I already had that open. That just kind of explains, it's just to be more helpful even, kind of explains about how I generally go through topics and have this concept of like phases of just being able to focus on different aspects of a topic, and go through those different aspects one by one. Yeah, it might, help use the tool just in case. All right, then a couple other things. Added mitigation nodes, which we can go to the examples to see. I think this congestion tax has mitigation nodes in it. Here we are. So mitigation nodes, you can see like there's like a core solution somewhere, and it has concerns. For example, we're trying to add a congested tax to Manhattan, But an obstacle to that is that handicapped can't use mass transit as an alternative to getting into Manhattan, so it's kind of unfair for them. So we can mitigate that by adding disability exemptions to the tax. So yeah, this is just a new node type that is intended to kind of, it's like a solution, but it's not like a core solution that you know needs to stand out as much as the solution node. So we'll see. I think it has felt good enough in the recent months that I've been using it. I'm keeping an eye out for if it's worth having the separate node type for it. But yeah, so far it seems fine. Next up, so in the previous update, I added showing and hiding of indicators just through one option, but now we've got all of these options for toggling them individually. Um, I felt like there were different situations where you want to see some and not others, so I just thought that configuration would be nice to have. Then Zen mode here was also added. Just another way to kind of like help you focus if you feel like the interface is not necessary at the moment. This kind of just hides all the auxiliary pieces of the interface, and you can still close this details pane manually. That's why it's open in that mode. And the last little thing here, the details pane here has kind of got a lot going on. I think there's better ways to probably make this feel a little more organized, but I did add the option to use tabs instead of having all of those expanded. And I'm not totally sold on this being good enough, so that's why it's a configuration option rather than just the default. Um, yeah, so I can play around with it and we can see how it is. All right. Well, that's all to show for today. For next time, I've got a bunch of small quality of life improvements planned, and you can check out the backlog in the description below. I think the biggest thing is adding a simpler interface, particularly for mobile. At the end of the blog, there's a little blurb about that if you're interested. I think that about sums it up then. Thanks for watching. Cheers.